Kara Oosterhuis here with RealAgriculture.com. Sorry for the bit of delay. It really wouldn't be something online and live if we didn't have some sort of technical issue. This time, technical issue was resolved, and we are going to try to fight through one of the big problems of rural internet connectivity. So I'm going to bring in our guest here, and we're going to chat about rural internet first to start. Jim, Hale, how is it going?
Good. Well, I'll tip myself down here.
Which is like the top half of your head.
Yeah,
It's been a day. It is Thursday. The week is almost over. So it's good. How are things going on the farm?
pretty good. Uh,
Yeah?
got through all of winter that we had there in November when we had 2 feet of snow, and now March here as in the last week. So
That's awesome. So you already got a first question rolling in here, and you can imagine who it's going to be from. Clearly, it is Mr. Bennett. He says, "Good afternoon, James." I imagine him sitting very formal as he's saying this. "Good afternoon, James. Who is your favorite bearded person at your wedding besides that guy that cooks sometimes?"
probably Jeff.
Probably Jeff. Well, that's good. I wouldn't know because as Sean likes to point out, none of the RealAg staff was at this wedding, so we wouldn't really be able to answer that. And we gotta bug you when we can.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so talk about the season you had on the farm this year. What were some of the highlights?
Um, it was kind of an interesting year. We had some good rains. We had some really good harvest weather. So the fall was pretty nice. Yields were, I don't know, the year was kind of average, I guess, because we had enough setbacks in the middle of the year too. So
What was moisture like this year? I know you guys are in an area that typically kind of struggles with some moisture. Were you guys able to get out of the drought?
yes, we had pretty good rain. It was a little dry kind of early on, but we got some really good June and July rains. Although I happened to get some that came down frozen, and that was pretty disheartening, I guess. That cut my durum yields pretty good. Um, so we were good for moisture through the year. It was really quite dry, and soil was quite cracked and fractured in the fall. And then we ended up getting some fall moisture that wasn't necessarily untimely as far as harvest operations, but was a bit of a relief for soil recharge.
That's awesome. Did you grow anything different this year? What sorts of things are in your crop lineup for those that don't know?
This year I switched from yellow peas to green peas, which seems like that was a mistake. Although if this is the second time that yellows are over greens, then that's just the way it is. I haven't grown anything weird, but I've been known to grow weird things previously. So pretty standard this year. Played around with some malt barley, durum, large green lentils, green peas, and we had some canary seed in too.
So let's talk about that malt barley. You selling it as malt?
I had a spring contract for malt barley that was accepted, although my plump numbers were a little on the borderline. And we sent some trucks up to the malt plant, and they unloaded them and said they were under spec. They actually bought 2 trucks. They bought 2 trucks for malt. They didn't have room for the third in whatever bin they were hauling, so I had to kind of scramble and find a home for it. And then they basically said, we don't really want the rest of it. So I get to do whatever I want with the rest of it, I guess.
But you can actually probably make money on it right now by selling it to the feed market.
Exactly. After my buyer had phoned, this had been rejected, I said, I mean, I sent samples. If I wanted to send you bad samples, I wouldn't have sent you good samples and then sent a truck to get rejected. And he agreed that was not a problem. And then actually, at the end of the conversation, I asked him to keep me in the loop for new crop contracts as they came out. So I'm not discouraged by it. That kind of happens, and this year just happens to be a good year that if your malt didn't get accepted, then that's not the worst thing in the world.
Absolutely. Unless, of course, you are on the cattle side or livestock side and you are trying to buy said feed. Probably not so happy then.
No, probably
Daryl Franzu here is asking, what variety of malt barley did you grow?
Copeland, because that's what my buyer wants to buy. I did talk to him about Synergy and Bow here just when I was on the phone with him this week. So it seems like there is some getting to be some acceptance of some of the newer varieties.
So, on next year's plan, do you have anything interesting that you were looking at growing for next year? Oh, did we lose Jim? We can't hear Jim. That's cool. I can't hear Jim. I don't know if you guys can hear Jim. If you could drop a comment and let me know if you can hear Jim, that would be cool. Um, in the meantime, I'll sing myself a little song and be all uncomfortable on live media. Anyone want to let me know if they can hear or see Jim? I'm going to probably start singing here soon. So no problem there. Jim, I hope you're able to come back because there are some things we still need to bug you about and tease you about. Anyways, while tech works on that, we will get some things figured out. For those of you that are interested in following the markets, we actually
There we
released
go.
our USD. Oh, there you are. Perfect. Okay. We could, and now he was silent. That's good because I was just about to start talking USDA, and I didn't know how long I could talk about the WASD report. So, thank you for coming back.
Sorry, I had a phone call, and when I hung it up, it blacked me out there. So my apologies.
Okay. Popular farmer. It's hard living your life.
I guess so.
What were we talking about before we cut you out? Or you
New
cut yourself
crop
out?
stuff. Is that
Yes, for
right?
next year. Yep.
Kind of the same plan. Maybe some new varieties of barley. Maybe a new variety of green peas. Forest was one that comes to mind. Potentially some hybrid mustard.
So, what made you want to try a hybrid mustard?
We're kind of in a borderline area where, I mean, we can grow canola, but I don't have very consistent results with canola. If it rains a lot, I can get a good crop, but it doesn't always rain a lot. So it's kind of hit and miss. And even with the herbicide chemistries we have, if you can't get a good canopy of canola, then it just kind of makes it a mess for weeds. And then you end up having to deal with that for a couple of years. So I kind of felt like, even though I like the marketing end of canola and it's easy to get, like it's relatively easy to sell, it's just not something that I find we're really consistently able to make money on. So being a little drier, I thought the mustard might be a little more of a fit. I realized there's herbicide issues there as far as not having as many options to go, or maybe as good of options to go forward. But being kind of selective about where you plant it, I guess, is part of the program.
Lindsay, of course, her and her sarcasm says hybrid mustard. Is it a cross with ketchup? So that's that's Lindsay's tidbit for today. And I feel like there's another behind the scenes story here. Scott Keller says Jim said he will seed lentils from corner to corner. Do you not
Oh,
like lentils, Jim?
I've had some issues with lentils on and off, and we're in a good lentil area. I don't know what it is. I can't seem to grow them very consistently either. So I've either had, there was lots of guys in our area this year that had poor lentil yields, and then in 16 everybody got rain and snow, or like too much rain and then snow early, and so lots of garbage lentils that year too, if they were harvested at all. I have, it's kind of a love-hate relationship. Like the prospects of a pretty decent payday, but don't always get to realize it. So
So, are you originally from Lancer area? Did your family used to grow around there, or did your family grow around there? Did your family farm in that area previously? Is this a farm that's gone through a couple generations?
This would be I'd be the third on this particular farm. So my grandpa on my dad's side, they grew up in the Lemsford area, which is kind of like two towns over. That's where the original like Hale homestead is. And my grandpa, um, didn't farm with his family for a number of years. Went off and did other things. Owned a few stores. He owned a store in Abbey. He owned a store in Lemsford as well. And then somewhere in the late 50s, I believe, while they owned the store in Abbey, he ended up buying kind of the chunk of land that we would refer to as his, I guess. And then he was farming that part time. And then in the early 60s, he actually moved the entire family to Saskatoon and was doing the suitcase farming thing uh, while doing some other businesses out of Saskatoon as well. So,
So you farm on, well, not completely on your own now. You are there with your wife and your daughter, correct? Is your mom still involved in the farming operation?
mom's still around. She actually lives on the farm. We actually live in Abbey, so I can't really give you the bad internet sob story. That's just a me being technically inept story as far as the today's today's issues. Yeah, she's still around. She drives school bus. She doesn't really do any field work anymore. She's more of a run stuff around, kind of deals with some of the paperwork, lots of the bill payments, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we do.
Absolutely.
We throw her in a little childcare every now and then.
That is what mothers are great at too. Um, so you do a lot of the machinery operating on your own. Can you talk a bit about some of the things you have adapted yourself in order to be able to work on your own like that?
Um, oh, somebody fell over in there. Anyway, I've gotten into some camera technology, I guess, or just using cameras in places where maybe we wouldn't use them as much as I thought I would. We put some on a grain cart this year, which worked pretty good. We have them in the air tank. I do have one mounted on my big swing auger, although that one's kind of partially installed. The camera's actually on it, but the monitor isn't in the tractor yet. There was kind of a wearing issue there. Just stuff where it saves me a few steps here and there. I do have cameras on the swing auger on actually the load part, so I can swing it underneath the truck, and I have a monitor in each of the semis to so I can see where to swing the auger with a remote swing. And then I also have one on the auger that's on the drill for the same purpose.
So is there any specific color you are dedicated to when it comes to your machinery?
Not anymore. As a kid, we ran lots of green stuff, and the at that time the preferred red out here was Massey red, not international red. And there was also lots of case tractors out here at the time. It's pretty much international red now and green, but I've got some Agco yellow stuff, and I've got green stuff and red stuff. So it doesn't really matter to me. If it's more to do for me with if it does the job that I want it to do, in kind of the price range I'm looking for, I guess.
Do you want to talk a bit about some of the biggest changes you've seen on your farm in the last, I don't know, 5 years?
I don't know if we've had a lot in the last 5 years. We scaled back on some land for a while, kind of thinking that was maybe the way to try to get better before we got bigger, and it actually, believe it or not, didn't really work that well. So I'm not sure what that says particularly. We haven't really gone crazy with mapping technology or VR. Kind of for VR for our area. I mean, there's return on investment, but the time envelope is kind of really long, so we haven't really got too much into that. I'm pushing my toes into the water on that right now. Um, Looking to kind of get into some liquid fertilizer instead. That just seems like an easier, faster way to get into sectional control and variable rate over a dry system. And really, for me, sectional control is probably more important than variable rate is right now. I'm not saying we're not variable enough, but we don't get enough rain where our nutrients really would wash anywhere. We'd have some issues maybe with volatilization, but definitely not with runoff.
So, what is your favorite part about the farm? As we know, there's the business side, there's the operating side. There's so many parts that makes a farm run. Is there anything that you really specifically like?
I like the operations part. I'm starting to like the fixing part of it more. Um, I don't know if that's just learning to kind of do
That
some more.
Aaron in the
Yeah, yeah, she's coughing at me. Um,
background?
I like the business side, and I like the side that's like what the data tells you, but I don't really like the, getting everything together for your income tax, and it's can be a bit of a struggle for, kind of. I do write everything down, but it kind of sometimes it gets spread out between 4 or 5 different vehicles, or it all ends up in different places, and then you're trying to chase it around. So need to be a little more organized, that's for sure.
Absolutely. So, Lindsay here says, controversial question: shelter belts, yay or nay?
I like them. I helped. Our farm is kind of a bit unique where we have shelter belts on every acre we farm except for some land that I just picked up. Even some rent. We've actually put shelter belts on rented land that we've had for about 20 or 30 years. So I've just kind of grown up with them. For the most part, we were just used to operating around them. I still like them. They have some drawbacks, but they definitely trap snow. They definitely break the wind, but they do catch everybody else's weeds, and you can't really just rip around out there with 80-foot drills and 100-foot booms. It does kind of break things up, and again, that's where I got into where sectional control for me is a little more important than say a VR system, just because of having to have kind of like 40-acre mini fields all over the place. It works really well for trying to do trials because I've got divided 40-acre strips everywhere. So it's really easy to just say, okay, well, we're going to do fertilizer trial here and here, and then flag them, and then do your checks on the rest of it. It's pretty easy to find that way.
Well, and I'd consider you to be kind of in my neck of the woods where Jim and I are about an hour and a half apart. And that wind really can blow. Anyone who says, like, I don't really know how I feel about shelter belts, like, come hang out in this area for a little while. We need them, I think, anyways.
I think it's
And
too
sorry,
on the
continue.
type of tree you have, and not all. So we primarily have Carraganas, which are not like an ash or something like that, where you'd have big towering trees. These are kind of like overgrown, stubborn. Really, this is lack of a better term. That
And they never die. But I would be hard pressed. It seems like you can have a drought year, no rain at all, and those Carraganas are green. So that's, I guess, good. I think Jim is muted again, so that's great. Jim, if you could unmute yourself, that would be awesome. For those of you watching, sorry for all the technical issues. We are working on it, but be sure tomorrow to catch us on RealAg Live at 1 p.m. Mountain or 3 p.m. Eastern,
there we
because
go.
we are going to be talking about we're going to have a real life Christmas party. So Jim, you might find this interesting. We are going to, all of the content team, we're going to hop up on our live like this, and we're going to have a virtual Christmas show because we know Christmas parties are not very common right now. So absolutely hop on and join us along. But Jim, you were talking about Carraganas, ashes being not good.
I've never like we just have bigger trees in our yard, and they have a bigger, root structure that pulls out, so you get um, more crop decline, I guess, further away from the tree base, where in my experience with the Carragana, you can pretty much see right up to them. They'll pull a crop out as far as the branches go, whether that's a shading issue or not, or a moisture issue. But you can pretty much see right up to them, and then you don't really have any issues with weeds in between them, so long as you haven't had a neighbor just give you all of their kochia in the meantime. So
Yeah, absolutely. So Sean here has a question. He says, Jim, if you could farm anywhere in the world, where would you like to give it a shot?
anywhere in the world, I'm interested a little bit. Man, maybe I'm a creature of habit, but I'm kind of interested how the U.S. system works in northern Montana, where it would be kind of the same as us, or I wouldn't have to relearn a bunch of stuff, um, and but a little different system maybe, where you can maybe forward price some stuff a little better. I'm not sure. Australia's intriguing, but there's lots of things that want to kill you there. So the winters are nice, but
And everyone talks about the kangaroos and how they'd be so cute in Australia, but did you know they are vicious creatures? Like those I keep saying Carraganas. Those kangaroos will come after you. They are mean. So
yeah,
that and all the deadly spiders, I think, would also probably cause some problems. But
and
so
reptile, giant reptiles.
yeah, yeah, that'll get you too, and the very, very hot heat. So maybe not Australia, but I mean that is my I think I'd say Australia or New Zealand. I would love to do New Zealand. Lindsay will be happy with me on this one. Maybe I'll just go to New Zealand, find a sheep farmer, and live happily ever after. And that's where I'll be. See you guys. So, anyways, getting off of my own little tangent here, you follow machinery pretty closely and you really like it. Can you talk about now you talked about some of the things you feel like you don't need on your farm, but can you talk about what some of the technological advancements you're looking at that you're maybe most excited about?
Uh, I'm interested kind of in the autonomous or semi-autonomous parts of combines kind of setting themselves or adjusting themselves. The dot platform was interesting because to me that was kind of reimagining how a tractor could look. Just because to me a conventional tractor now looks the way it looks because they basically took the horses off the front of the plow and put a tractor in front of it. So when you don't have that background to get there, then it really kind of changes how the whole thing evolves. I'm not sure. Some of the stuff with the ground mapping, whether it's SWAT maps or anything like that, it's kind of interesting. I don't know. It's been I have some. The VR thing again is kind of like VR for fertility and stuff. It seems like it's been the next big thing for the last 15 years, and it just can't really get there, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of neat things coming down the line. I know a lot of Sean was at Agritechnica in November of last year, and it was really cool to see what is kind of coming up on the docket and what we could expect to see over here in North America. So yeah, Scott Keller here has a question for you. Are there crops that you tend to forward price?
I will usually do a production contract on malt barley just because, I mean, and I have had good luck having a growing barley uncontracted and then having it selected as well. We've done that before. The lentils also seem like just to kind of take some risk off. I didn't contract any green peas. Maybe I should have. I'm still kind of fighting the uphill battle in the market there. I will try to do durum. Like this year, I contracted quite a bit of durum and then ended up pretty much having all my durum contracted by the time it was said and done, just kind of looking at an unforeseen unforeseen hailstorms. So it's a bit of a risk because we can't really buy paper for a lot of the commodities we grow to offset some of that risk.
And as Lindsay would like to say, that is the wrong kind of hail. You are the right kind of hail. That is the wrong kind of hail. So, before I let you go, I had to ask. Sean. Sean said you have to ask Jim this. You have a bet with Sean. Now, I believe Sean has lost said bet. Can you tell us about it?
So I can't remember what year it was. The Swift Current Broncos were playing the Lethbridge Hurricanes in the WHL playoffs. So we made a bet where I think it was a night of babysitting a baby slash infant versus baby, I guess, for lack of a better term, teenagers at the time. And at the time, this was probably 2 years ago. It was the winter before the first egg meetup at the Bennett Ranch there at and we haven't got to the point where we've been able to. I haven't pushed them on collecting yet, but considering we are having another one here in May, maybe that'll happen. So
I was gonna say the longer you wait, the more this seems to be in your favor. And spoiler alert, when I talked to Sean, he thought he owed you a whole weekend of babysitting. So I
oh
think you should just roll. I think you should just roll with that.
well, part of the deal, the bet was I was kind of the third party, and Aaron I suggested the bet, and Aaron set the terms. So that was kind of her, because I felt like if I lost, I was going to push that on her anyway, because at the time she had been used to dealing with lots of teenagers in her previous job. So I felt like she had that handled. We shall see.
Well, there. I posed just to make that bet just a little bit worse. When that actually goes through, I mean, we can all see each other. Maybe that's when we have the egg meetup. Sean can babysit.
I threatened him with the Bennett. I just reminded him at the egg meetup about it, and he kind of gave me the "You're not going to pull this on me now," because we had Alyssa with us at the time, and I didn't. He got off on that one, and everybody enjoyed themselves. So, yeah, that's the story on the bet with Sean that I haven't collected on yet.
And another insight on RealAg and Jim Hale is did Lindsay leave a frozen beer in your
Yeah.
brand new Jeep at Farm Tech?
Yes, you did. Yep.
Did it explode?
It exploded in the back. I can't remember. We were at a cabaret. I think Deborah actually had to drive the Jeep from the Northlands to the hotel, if I recall. And then Lindsay may or may not have snuck beer out in her coat sleeve. I recall that much. So yes, there was an exploded beer the next morning.
Dieter here is going back to the bet and saying Sean's going to offer babysitting at the next egg meetup. I think so. We should do a posters. He's going to really regret letting me host this one by the end of it. I'll have him signed up for everything. Yeah, now there's two. So, Aaron, if you're there, is that her talking in the background?
Yeah,
Lara's got a question. Lara's got a question, and she
Hi.
says, I need to know, did Aaron find ballet shoes for your daughter?
I did. I ended up buying brand new, and then about 3 weeks later, I stumbled across an ad, and ended up with like 5 pairs of ballet shoes. So she's got some that fit her now. She'll have some that hopefully will fit her come the beginning of next season. Yeah.
Well, there you go, Lara. There's the answer to your ballet shoes. Aaron, while we have you here,
okay.
What is your favorite part of being on the farm?
Not learning new things.
I don't mind learning new things. One thing I have discovered about myself is apparently I get easily overwhelmed when a lot of information is coming at me all at once. which in the world of farming tends to happen quite often. But what I do love about it is while it's a very kind of steady business, there's always new information coming out and new things coming out. And it's been really interesting to see how it's changed even in just the last 5 years, from knowing just about nothing about, the grain farming part of everything to, I overhear tidbits or I see stuff on Twitter and I'm like, I know that answer now. So that I really enjoy that. Like there was a tweet the other day about how many seeds does a kochia bundle have, and I'm like, I know that answer.
Well,
5 years, I wouldn't even know what a kochia plant was.
Well, there you go. That is pretty cool. And I mean, it probably took a fair amount of time just to get used to Jim Hale on his own as well,
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
That's a learning curve. Oh man. Okay, well, I'm going to let you guys go. It has been a wonderful chat, Jim. Thank you for all your insight, and look forward to chatting with you in the new year, hopefully at some point in person again. And I can promise I will not leave a frozen beer in your Jeep, so bring me along.
Okay.
Okay. Have a great afternoon and good luck with the 2020 crop season, or 2021 crop season already.
Thanks.
You bet. And for those of you that have been watching and participating, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been fun. I look forward to tomorrow's show. Like I said, we're going to have a RealAg Christmas party with the content team. So we got a couple ideas already. We're going to pull up some good conversation, and we would love for you to be a part of that. That's what makes us so much fun, is being able to be live, being able to be right here with you guys in real time, and hear from you. So please join us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or on www.realagriculture.com/realag live, and we will answer all your questions, participate. It'll be a lot of fun. There's not a lot of Christmas parties going on right now, so join in on ours. We'll look forward to it. Okay, thank you very much, and talk to you all soon.